Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. He does not believe that does not live according to his belief. When making a decision of minor importance, I have always found it advantageous to consider all the pros and cons. Everywhere I go I find a poet has been there before me. Religion is a system of wishful illusions together with a disavowal of reality. Life, as we find it, is too hard for us. It brings us too many pains, disappointments and impossible tasks. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Words are capable of arousing the strongest emotions and prompting all men's actions. The ego is not master in its own house. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. The ego refuses to be distressed by the provocations of reality, to let itself be compelled to suffer. Where it was, their ego shall be. In mourning, it is the world which has become poor and empty. In melancholia, it is the ego itself. One might compare the relation of the ego to the id with that between a rider and his horse. Children are completely egoistic, they feel their needs intensely and strive ruthlessly to satisfy them. Towards the outside, at any rate, the ego seems to maintain clear and sharp lines of demarcation. At the height of being in love, the boundary between ego and object threatens to melt away. The repressed merges into the id as well, and is merely a part of it. Originally the ego includes everything, later it detaches from itself the external world. The ego represents what we call reason and sanity, in contrast to the id which contains the passions. Neurosis is the result of a conflict between the ego and its id. A transference neurosis corresponds to a conflict between ego and id. The ego feeling we are aware of now is thus only a shrunken vestige of a far more extensive feeling. Everyone has wishes which he would not like to tell to others, which he does not want to admit even to himself. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. Dreams may be thus stated, they are concealed realizations of repressed desires. Dreams with a painful content are to be analyzed as the fulfillments of wishes. Dream disfigurement, then, turns out in reality to be an act of the censor. The ideas so far produced are insufficient for the interpretation of the dream. The dream is a sort of substitution for those emotional and intellectual trains of thought. Dreams tell us many an unpleasant biological truth about ourselves, and only very free minds can thrive on such a diet. Self-deception is a plant which withers fast in the pellucid atmosphere of dream investigation.